Picture this. You're scrolling through your feed, minding your own business, when suddenly you see what looks like melted Play-Doh? Nope, that's just Meghan Markle's latest culinary creation. And folks, we need to talk about it. Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. If you've been living under a rock for the past week, you might have missed the internet's newest obsession, Meghan Markle's apricot honey butter recipe. And by obsession, I mean the collective horror that swept through social media faster than you can say royal scandal. Now, I'm not here to bash anyone's cooking, we've all had our kitchen disasters. But when you're putting content out there for millions to see, especially when you're trying to build a lifestyle brand, well, let's just say this one missed the mark by about a mile. So what exactly happened here? Meghan posted a video showing off her homemade apricot honey butter. Sounds delicious, right? Well, here's where things get interesting. First, let's talk about what we're actually looking at. This isn't the rustic, farmhouse-style spread you'd expect from someone positioning herself as a lifestyle guru. Instead, we got something that looks like it escaped from a mad scientist's lab. The texture? Imagine if honey and butter had a fight, and somehow sugar got involved as the mediator, and lost. The color alone is doing things that apricot preserves should never do. It's this weird, translucent orange that makes you wonder if there were actually any apricots involved in this process. Some people in the comments were genuinely asking if it was supposed to be a sauce, a spread, or some kind of abstract art installation. Now, I'm no Gordon Ramsay, but even I can spot some basic issues here. When you're making any kind of fruit spread, you want to see, actual fruit pieces. This looks more like apricot-flavored corn syrup that someone tried to dress up for a dinner party. The consistency is all wrong too. Good honey butter should have this perfect balance, creamy, spreadable, with just enough sweetness to make your taste buds happy. What we're seeing here is something that literally slides off bread like it's trying to make a quick exit. Even the butter looks like it's having second thoughts about being there. And can we talk about the mixing technique for a second? It's like someone heard the term whipped butter and thought, yeah, I'll just stir this really hard and hope for the best. The result is this lumpy, liquidy mess that makes you wonder if anyone actually taste tested this before hitting record. Of course, the internet had thoughts. And by thoughts, I mean opinions that ranged from confused to absolutely savage. Food bloggers were scratching their heads. Home cooks were sharing their own apricot butter recipes in response, basically showing how it's actually done. One baker commented that her grandmother would have laughed this right out of the kitchen. Another person said it looked like something you'd make at 2 a.m. when you're home alone and making questionable life choices with whatever's in your pantry. But here's what really got people talking, the influencer response. Suddenly, everyone's timeline was flooded with reposts of this sticky situation, with people calling it rustic and authentic. Look, I'm all for supporting each other, but sometimes a cooking disaster is just a cooking disaster. We don't need to pretend it's the next big thing. Here's what's really interesting about this whole situation. Meghan's clearly trying to build this aspirational lifestyle brand, the whole look at my perfect life in my perfect kitchen making perfect food thing. But authentic lifestyle content requires, well, actual skill and genuine passion for what you're creating. The problem is, when you're trying to project this image of domestic perfection, your content needs to match that energy. This recipe video felt more like someone who learned to cook from watching other people's Instagram stories rather than actually spending time in the kitchen mastering basic techniques. And let's be honest, in the age of social media, everything gets scrutinized. When you're a public figure sharing lifestyle content, people are going to compare your efforts to actual food experts, home cooks who've been perfecting their craft for years, and professional chefs who know what they're doing. If you're going to put yourself out there as a lifestyle guru, you need to actually know what you're talking about. Your audience can tell the difference between genuine expertise and someone just trying to jump on a trend. The food community is incredibly knowledgeable and passionate. They can spot fake technique and poor execution from a mile away. And in this case, the execution was so off that it became the story itself.